Have you ever sat alone, staring out the window and quietly asked yourself, what do I actually know for sure? Not the casual kind of knowing, not the stuff you say without thinking, but the deep, unshakable kind, the kind that can't be easily shaken. There are moments when you're absolutely convinced your boss is going to love your idea, only to watch it get shut down without a second thought.
Or you believe you truly understand your partner, until one offhand comment makes your whole world feel uncertain again. Those small, quiet moments hit harder than we admit. They remind us that knowing is never as simple as it seems. Today, I want to talk with you about something that rarely comes up in everyday conversation, yet quietly shapes how we think, decide, and even how we feel about ourselves every single day. It's called epistemology, the study of knowledge.
In simple terms, epistemology is about trying to understand what knowledge really is. It's not about memorizing facts. It's about asking the honest, everyday questions. What does it actually mean to know something? How do we know when something is true? And why do we so easily mix up what we believe with what we know? Let's start with a very ordinary moment most of us have experienced. You wake up in the morning, glance at your phone and think, I know today is Friday. You know it because you saw the calendar, because you remember your work schedule, and because everything around you seems to line up. But here's the quiet question. Do you really know it? Or are you just believing it with pretty good reasons? This is exactly where epistemology begins, not in some distant classroom, but in these small, everyday uncertainties. From the time we're children, human beings have this deep, natural desire to know. Aristotle once said that all men by nature desire to know. But wanting to know and actually knowing are two very different things. Epistemology is the slow, careful attempt to understand that difference. Throughout history, people have mainly relied on two big paths to gain knowledge. The first path is through our senses, what we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. This is how most of us learn in daily life. You know your coffee tastes more bitter today because you took a sip. You know it's raining because you hear the drops and see the water on the window. People who believe our senses are the most reliable source of knowledge are called empiricists. But here's the uncomfortable truth we've all felt at some point. Our senses can deceive us. Let me share 4 real-life examples that might feel familiar. First example, at work. You've been working on an important project for weeks. Based on years of experience and everything you've observed, you're convinced the client is going to be happy with the current design. You feel confident. You deliver it. Then the feedback comes back. Harsh, detailed, disappointed. In that moment, you don't just feel rejected. You feel something deeper. The quiet shock that what you knew from experience was actually just a strong assumption. That gut feeling of, I know what they want, turned out to be built on habit and past patterns, not on solid knowledge. And suddenly you start overthinking every future decision. Second example, in friendships. You think you really know your close friend. After hundreds of late-night talks, inside jokes and moments of silence, you're sure they'll always have your back. Then one day, when it matters most, they choose someone else's side. The pain isn't only about the betrayal. It's the deeper sting of realizing, I thought I knew them so well, but maybe I never really did. Your own experiences and observations led you astray, and now you're left questioning how well you actually understand the people closest to you. Third example, personal habits. You decide to start going to the gym. You've read the articles, listened to the podcasts, and logically reasoned it out. Regular exercise will make me healthier and happier. You know all the facts. You believe them strongly. But after 2 weeks, the alarm goes off at 6 a.m. Your body feels heavy, and old habits pull you back to bed. You skip the workout. Not because you forgot the knowledge, but because knowing something intellectually didn't give you the actual ability to act when motivation disappeared. This gap between knowing with your mind and knowing enough to change your daily behavior is something many of us quietly struggle with.
Fourth example, the deepest one, in romantic relationships. You're in a relationship and you truly believe you know how your partner feels about you. You have all the evidence, the sweet messages, the weekend plans, the way they look at you, the future you've talked about together. You feel certain. I know they love me. Then slowly, or sometimes suddenly, the truth starts to surface. Maybe they were never as committed as you thought. Maybe the signs you trusted were only surface level.
In that moment, it's not just the relationship that breaks. It's your trust in your own ability to know. You lie awake at night asking yourself, how could I have been so sure and been so wrong? The overthinking begins. You replay every conversation, every moment, wondering which parts were real and which parts you only wanted to believe. That kind of doubt doesn't just hurt. It shakes your confidence in your own judgment for a long time. These moments reveal something important.
Knowing isn't just about collecting information. It's a state we reach, a relationship between us and the information we hold. The most common way philosophers have defined this kind of knowledge, what we call propositional knowledge, knowledge of facts, is justified true belief. In plain language, it's not enough to simply believe something. You need good, solid reasons for believing it, and what you believe has to actually be true. But as we've all experienced, having reasons that feel good doesn't always mean those reasons are reliable. Our senses can mislead us. Our reasoning can be influenced by emotions, fatigue, or old habits. And sometimes, even when we have what feels like strong justification, we still end up wrong. This brings us to a deeper question. Why do human beings even need a theory of knowledge in the first place? We seem to be naturally curious. We want to understand the world around us.
Knowledge brings real benefits. It frees us from ignorance and helps us navigate life. But a theory of knowledge becomes truly necessary when we start doubting whether what we think we know actually matches reality. Some scholars suggest that epistemology was born out of fear. The fear that our senses are too weak, our minds too easily fooled, our memories too fragile. The fear that we might be lost in a vast world with tools that aren't quite good enough to give us the understanding we crave, about why things happen, about what our lives mean, about what we can truly trust. You've probably felt a version of this fear yourself. Lying in bed at night, questioning big decisions you've made, wondering if the values you've built your life around are actually solid, wondering how much of what you know is just comfortable belief. Epistemology doesn't promise to remove all doubt or give you perfect certainty. What it does offer is a quieter, more honest way of looking at ourselves. It reminds us to be a little more careful, a little more humble when we say, I know. It encourages us to notice the difference between, I think this is true, and I have good reasons to believe this is true, and it actually is. In the end, perhaps the most valuable thing we can take from thinking about knowledge isn't total confidence. It's awareness. The gentle realization that we are always on a journey of trying to know, and that we probably never have everything completely figured out. And maybe, just maybe, the simple act of admitting, I don't know everything, is the first real step toward knowing a little more clearly.